if you're just a new listener, this is a short segment, long segment coming up, just to introduce Lindsey here. Lindsey did say, it's all on record, was it back in 2007 or so? He said, okay, watch, oil will now go to 150. Sit there. It did. Now he said, okay, it's at 150. Now it's going to go to from 150 to $40. It went to 40 and then below it. Then he said, now it's going to go back up to this and wait. Then it's going to go, and it all happened. He said last year, there will not be QE3. He said there will not be QE3. He said that will not be going on. He said it will happen at the end of or the middle of next year. And he said 2 years ago, there'll be big attacks and crises and everything else going on in the Middle East. But then it will move to China. That's the big one. Boom, that happened. So I'm really hoping he's wrong next, because he's been right so much, his source, the one living one, because it dovetails with my research that they're going to implode things by the end of this year. They've already imploded it, but implode it more. And now we're seeing dollar devaluation. So he's going to go through, recap, we've got 3 minutes here, what his source told him, what he hasn't covered yet with us, and where all this is going. Lindsey Williams of LindseyWilliams.net. That's a fan site, but you like it. You join us here. Thank you for coming on.
You don't like for me to say thank you for allowing me to be on InfoWars, so I won't say it this morning, Alex. You're right. It's by the providence of God. I would have never known any of this had it not been that the Lord allowed a little insignificant missionary to, for 3 years' time, live with the elite of the world, keep in touch with them for 35 years. Now, everyone in the InfoWars listening audience today, please get a pencil and paper. I'm going to make a number of predictions based on what I've heard from my elite friends just recently, and I've had numerous contacts. Yesterday morning, Alex, I even received an email in relation to the vice presidential debate last night. I sat there and watched it and realized that these people knew exactly how these people had been briefed. So, folks, you have that pencil and paper. A number of quick predictions. Many of them will be completely separated from the other. Take these down. Number one, I said back about 2 years ago when my elite friend told me some things about the future, I made the statement at the time that I received a lot of criticism for, but you're finding it right. It has happened exactly as they told me. Please, don't give me credit for this. Give the credit to the people that have been willing to tell me what they're doing. And at the time, they said, Chaplain, there's not going to be any shortage of food and water on the grocery store shelves. And at the time, everybody was saying, oh, there's going to be a shortage of food, going to be a shortage of bread. The grocery store shelves are going to be empty. And I said, no, they aren't. But I said, you'll go hungry. And I couldn't understand that when my elite friend told it to me until I figured out, after asking him some questions, exactly what he was talking about. Well,
you said that more than 2 years ago. You said, oh, there's not going to be a food shortage. There's going to be inflation, and you're not going to be able to afford it. And since then, food prices in many areas have doubled.
Yes, and they're going to double again. You know, I like avocados, and for somehow an avocado sandwich is just great in the afternoon. You're paying $1 for one right now at the grocery store. You're going to be paying $2. Vernac is $40 billion every month, indefinitely. September, October, November, December, right on through. It is going to proportionately diminish the purchasing power of your dollar with every $40 billion that he pulls out of thin air.
All right, Lindsey, stay there. I want you to recap everything you said last time, but there was a lot you didn't get to. You just race through it wherever you want to go on the other side of this quick break, and then a whole hour of your calls. Recap, go back and recap what he said was coming, the former oil company CEO, Bilderberg Group level, and then what's going to unfold, what really happened in the debate, what happened in last night's, because obviously they're scripted from different angles of the power structure. Dr. Corsi was on yesterday, of course, not just State Department folks, extremely high-level national security. I'll just leave it at that. Saying, yes, the elite are mad at Obama. He did double-cross him with the Arabs. That's confirming what you're saying. And that's a double-cross on the Arabs as well. Just very sophisticated what's happening. Double-crossing us to the Chinese. Again, not just the elite, but the American people. That he's even bad to the old elite. That's scary. So you've got the floor and what you didn't get into. And the big one, dollar collapse this year, what that means, according to your source, coming up here in just a few months. Lindsey Williams.
Purchase your long-term storage food as fast as you can. Now, I said a moment ago that I was told back 2 years ago there'd be no shortage of food and water on the grocery store shelves, but that you'll go hungry. And I wondered what in the world it was talking about. basically the currency that you have is going to diminish in its purchasing power to the point that you won't be able to buy it, even though the grocery store shelves are full. People laughed at me at the time and said, oh, Chaplain, there's going to be shortages on the grocery store shelves. Now, we've gone by 2 years. It's happened exactly as they told me. Please, folks, believe what these people have to say. 1 year ago, I came out in a series that I prepared entitled 2012, The Beginning of the End, and in it I said that they had a number of agendas. I need to warn you about one of these. Please, I beg of you, I hope you have pencils and paper. You're writing this down. Put it down beside your calendar, and then later you're going to say Lindsey Williams is a prophet, and I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not. I just got it from them. They said that one of their agendas in 2012, and this extends on in 2013, is fear. Yeah, so simple. You say, but why fear? Listen, they want to do everything in their power to persuade you that we're about to have a terrorist attack, that we're going to have major problems here and yonder. They tried to tell you that when the Olympics took place in London, that at the opening ceremonies there's going to be a terrorist attack and thousands might die, and they scared the daylights out of you. Now, I went to Dr. David Jonda, and I said, David, I've been told that this is one of their agendas for this year. You know who David Jonda is, has his own radio show, practicing physician, very prominent man, has spoken before Congress on the health care bill. And I said, David, what is the real truth about this? He said, Chaplain, anytime a person gets afraid, their brain shuts down. I said, David, that's it. They want to do everything in their power to shut the brains down of the people so that they can't think for themselves. Folks, do not look for black helicopters. Don't look behind bushes everywhere you go. You cannot allow them to scare you with Homeland Security and terrorist attacks. There hasn't been a single terrorist attack since 9/11. What in the world? Can't you see what's going on and realize what the elite are doing to you? They want you to shut your brain down so that you... Okay, this brings me to the next one. Alex, you said to recap it. I'm trying to do it as fast as I can because I know you've got a lot of things to say, too. They announced on September the 13th, 2012, the Federal Reserve would purchase $40 billion in mortgage-backed securities every month indefinitely. I told you what they were going to do with those mortgage-backed securities. It's your house, the shopping center down the street, the small business that got its loan using real estate as collateral for the loan. And I told you that I'd been told by my elite friend that the Federal Reserve is going to take your house mortgage and all of those other mortgage-backed securities and invest them in the derivative market at a fractionally reserved rate. Then I told you also on Tuesday what was so startling that I don't think Alex had even heard before, because I don't know of any newsletter that's picked up on this yet, because they didn't call the same people I called, that the institutions that they will be giving this $40 billion to every month, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Fannie, Freddie, that $40 billion they have in their hands and behind closed doors secretively, they have already made the agreement that these institutions will purchase treasuries. They will not put it into the real estate market, the economy, nor the recession. They are not going to help the economy come out of the problems it's in. They are buying $40 billion worth of T-bills every month. Now, I'm going to give you the one that goes along with what I just said. Fear. Please, folks, I didn't give this on Tuesday. I didn't have time. In the course of the conversation, after we had gone over all the things that the Federal Reserve is doing, listen, folks, this is the most dastardly act that has ever been perpetrated on the American people in the history of this country. It took place on September the 13th, 2012, and they will own every piece of mortgage real estate in the United States of America. And after I got through hearing all of this, I was so flabbergasted. I was dumbfounded. You know who I was talking to.
And this is where I wanted to... this is where I wanted to... Lindsey, this is where I wanted to intersect here, listening to Pastor Lindsey Williams with his whistleblower connections into the elite that have proven to be extremely accurate, and I know who his sources are. This is where we ended last time. I want to go back into some of the other points, but specifically to get what you're saying here, Lindsey, and we know they're doing this. This is actually admitted, and it's actually over $80 billion. Of 40-something billion is to buy a month bonds, treasuries. The other $40 billion is to go in and buy these mortgage-backed securities that are already crud. They are leveraging them. The general derivatives market is ramping up to levels above 2008. at its last peak. So what he's telling you is confirmed. But the issue is you're saying if they're now investing other people's good mortgages, when that goes belly up, then the government will say, well, now you pay your mortgage to us. And we've seen this with all the nationalizations going on. But that's what he's saying is coming.
Both toxic and non-toxic mortgages are being bought. They're mixing them all together. A Chinaman may own your house. A Japanese may own your house. A Russian may own your house. You don't own it anymore. It is no longer in the hands of that local institution where you got your loan from. Now, I'm going to give you the next one. Alex, please, bear with me just a second here. In the course, after I got through talking about all of this, and I was so at my wit's end, I began to have a normal one-on-one conversation with my friend. And this one is going to startle you beyond. In the course of the conversation, I'll put it in my words, we basically said, what did the elite learn? Folks, please, you must hear this. What did the elite learn from Thursday, September the 13th of 2012? Now, there is no newsletter that will probably ever publish this. This man was talking friends one-on-one from 35 years ago relationship, and basically the elite learned on September the 13th of 2012, that Thursday, they learned, folks, they learned that the American people are not going to protest. This is horrible. They learned from that experience. You see, they learn things too. They don't know what to expect out of you. They learn you're not going to protest. They learn you are not going to revolt. Are you catching this? They learned that you are not going to riot. They purchased your house out of thin air, $40 billion every month from now on until they own every piece of mortgage real estate in the United States of America. They have learned that I'm going to put it in my words. I want to embarrass you. I mean embarrass you good. They have learned you're not going to belly up. They have learned that you are going to become slaves to their new world order system and that they can bring it in and that you will not do what Greece has done. They're going to continue to give you your wealth. Please, this is a prediction based on what my elite friend told me. They're going to continue to give you your welfare checks. They're going to continue to give you Social Security checks. They aren't going to be cut off. I don't care which man is being put in. They are going to continue to give you your Medicare and your Medicaid. None of these things are going to be cut off. You will have those for the next few years, mark my words, but they have learned that if they do these things, you are not going to protest, you're not going to follow what Alex Jones is saying, you're not going to revolt, you're not going to riot in the streets, you're going to belly up, you're going to give in. They can bring in their new world order system according to the plans that they have of total takeover of the United States of America. They'll buy your house, turn around, rent it back to you, while they deteriorate the currency that you've got to the point that you can't afford to make your house payment so they can repossess it. Alex, I was so startled in the course of the latter part of that conversation until I am still sitting here. I'm sure you must hear it in my voice. You remarked...
No, I've never heard you so wound up. I've never heard you so wound up. But what freaks me out, Lindsey, is I know who your source is. I know who the other one was who died, and we could say his name now, Ken Fromm. This other guy, even more high-powered. And to sit here and see them saying all this... because they particularly don't really like what's happening, but they're in the higher councils of power where all this is being discussed. All of it is actually in the financial papers. This is all hiding in plain view. Have you seen the video? But I also have the Financial Times of London, Associated Press, Time Magazine, Newsweek, Economist Magazine. I've read them on air. We wrote an article for the first issue of the magazine. Bankers brag that they've conquered America and Europe, where they said... And we have literally more than 20 quotes in newspapers that they have conquered us, a global group of banks, through fraud. And even on CNBC, they brag, yes, we've conquered you with foreign mega banks. America is run by a new world order global government. I mean, they're now trumpeting it, I guess, to test us to see if we're going to accept it. Did you ever see that CNBC clip?
Yes, I've seen a number of videos, and Alex, we cannot let it happen. You, at InfoWars, you asked me a question on Tuesday, and I've never heard you ask a personal question like that over the radio before. Usually you'd ask that off air. And I said, Alex, you've got an anointing. God has put you here for a purpose. The only reason the world InfoWars is growing in leaps and bounds is because you are the man on the hour sitting right here on the wall. And God, you heard me. I said, God has given you a place and an audience and is using you, and we cannot allow the New World Order to do what they want to do. Now, here's the next prediction, folks, please. You need to hear this. 7 months ago, now, I haven't been on your show, Alex, in well over 7 months, so it wasn't said on your show. But I said it on radio shows all across this land. I said 7 months ago that I'd just been told by my elite friend when I called him up on the phone, and I said, why did the president cancel out on the cross-Canada pipeline? He was so livid. He was beside himself. I've never heard the man talk like he talked on the phone. He said, Chaplain, we are so angry at Mr. Obama you cannot possibly imagine. And he went on to tell what's going to happen. And just a few weeks later, they said, Chaplain, if the older, are you catching this, folks? If the older elite have anything to do with it, Obama will not be the next president of the United States of America. Folks, don't you call me a prophet after the election. I'm telling you, watch that debate. There were 3 things in it. You must go back and look at it. And there were 3 things that Mr. Romney said that literally Mr. Obama went ballistic. Write them down. Number 1, cross-Canada pipeline. You'll hear him say it. He was brief to say it. Secondly, Dodd-Frank bill, and in it is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. And he said, we will rewrite that bill. This was a slap in the face of Obama because he saw it pushed through Congress when it shouldn't have been. And then there was the production of American oil. And when those 3 things were said, Obama literally lost it like a child that had been caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And he became completely, he was out of it. He literally could not put his words together from that point through the rest of the debate. Every bit of it, because he realizes now that he's in big, big trouble. Folks, watch out. There's some things out there the elite are so angry about, and we need, you must know the issues, Alex.
Okay, we've got to go to break here, Lindsey, but we're going to play that Ron Paul clip where he said we should panic, and also the CNBC haven't played in a month or so, where they announced we're slaves to foreign banks and global government. Those are quotes. We're going to play those. But we got 20 seconds, 30 seconds, Lindsey. Real fast, tell me some of the other points we didn't get to that we're going to cover as well that we missed out earlier in the week while we've had you back. What are a few of those?
Okay, I'm going to give you, must have pencil and paper. During the break, pick them up and get them to the phone. I'm going to give you the countdown for the death of the dollar. You've been hearing me say this for the past 3 years, that I was told by my friend the dollar will be dead by the end of 2012.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Lindsey, this is a short segment. Long segments are coming up. We'll give the number out in the next hour. But your take on what Ron Paul said versus these guys saying we're slaves to world government run by banks. I mean, that's the New World Order right there.
A year ago, Alex, I was on many shows, and I might have even been on yours, and I said, I will tell you every 3 months, according to what my elite friend says, whether there will be a financial collapse in the next 3 months or not. Came in January. I called him on the phone. He said, no, Chaplain, there's not going to be any financial collapse January, February, March. End of March, I went back again. He said, no, not in April. I'm going to make another prediction right now. I know I'm sticking the neck way out. There will be no financial collapse through December of 2012. Are you hearing what I am saying? But there is going to be a deterioration in the purchasing power of your currency like you have never seen before, proportionately to $40 billion every month. Being full out thin air, purchasing mortgage-backed securities, they are getting they're getting stone and mortar. They're getting the roof over your head. They're getting the land you own, and for nothing while you worked for it, pulling out of thin air. What are they going to do? They are going to, please catch it. I was told it a year ago. I said it right here, I think, on InfoWars. They are intentionally postponing the collapse of the currencies of the world until they can create such massive debt in every nation, every city, every county, every state, until when they finally get it to the point that the dollar has collapsed to the place that you can hardly afford the food to put on your table, much less pay your house mortgage. They'll step in and say, you have no choice. You will have to accept our new currency. We have it ready.
And then they will pose as the saviors, SDRs, $100 trillion of taxpayer liquidity, Davos, Switzerland 1 year ago. You're absolutely right. It's their master plan. Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure. And it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. Lindsey, stay there because I want you to come back and get into the countdown to the collapse, kind of restart, and then we'll go to calls for the balance of the hour. But after we take some calls, because I promised to go to him, what are some of the other tidbits he's told you that we haven't gotten to yet? I mean, maybe you started mentioning, but the break cut you off 40 minutes ago, about what you were told would happen with last night's debate. Give us your breakdown on that briefly.
Well, last night's debate actually produced nothing. It was just complete chaos from beginning to end. I was watching for all the buzzwords that might be there. I had actually had an email yesterday morning from my elite friend whom you know, and basically was warned that Biden and Romney, that the candidates last night, vice presidential candidates, they actually did not have buzzwords that they were throwing at each other. So as a result, the debate basically turned into total chaos. Now, let me cover the Middle East right quick. I know this is a short segment. Folks, please, the Middle East, you are going to see disruptions. You are going to see war. You're going to see more chaos created than you can possibly imagine. Right now, it's Syria. Then it's going to be Yemen. You must go to YouTube and look up retired General Wesley Clark. Please go to YouTube and see this for yourself. Retired General Wesley Clark made a speech some while back, and he named almost identically the same nations that were given to me a year and a half ago when I produced my DVD series, The Middle East, The Rest of the Story, which only about half of it has taken place, by the way. And he told the nations which the chaos would be created in, how our State Department would work with Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood, and the last nation is the one that's important. Wesley Clark said the last nation to be touched will be Saudi Arabia. Watch it. You're going to see more and more chaos begin to be generated in Saudi Arabia, which is our number one supplier of crude oil abroad. In the meantime, you're going to see Yemen fall. Syria is right on the verge of it. Assad may as well get out while he's still alive. Then you'll see Yemen. Then you're going to see problems in one or two other small countries, and then they're going to hit the big one because they want to take the price of crude oil to $150 a barrel, and then they want to bring in America's oil fields. Saudi Arabia will be the last one touched. Wesley Clark, retired general, said that.
He's confirmed that. You know what? Stay there, because you said 2 years ago they do this in the Middle East, and it happened. And I don't even have the staff or crew to go back and pull those clips up, but you put out some audio and videos, that specials that have broken that down. So we'll also talk about some of the different things you've put out where it's enshrined on record. But your predictions are also right there at LindseyWilliams.net, an excellent fan site that has it all chronologically ordered.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
Pastor Lindsey Williams is with us for the balance of the hour. He's been on for part of the last hour. We're going to open the phones up coming up at the start of the next segment for Lindsey Williams. For any questions or comments, he's an author, researcher, a retired Baptist preacher who got into the major boardroom meetings as a member of the board of a multi-oil company system, and has several big oil company executive sources, including one known by me and confirmed to be one of his sources, a former CEO of a Big Three, who's been giving him amazingly accurate info over the years. Like, gas will go from $50 a barrel to 150. Now it's going to go down to 40, and everybody laughed at him, and it happened. He said 2 years ago they'll attack the Middle East through proxy wars and revolutions. Boom, it started a year later. Now it's getting crazier and crazier. He said that's a diversion for China. Then he said they're going to double-cross the Saudi Arabians finally, who they, get to, quote, buy dollars, but then they have to agree to not develop U.S. oil. But now Obama has double-crossed them, blocking development of North American oil. That's the type of sophisticated geopolitical stuff that's going on. We're going back to Lindsey to finish his countdown to the implosion of the dollar. He said it wouldn't be last year, and QE3 wouldn't be last year, when everybody says it was going to be then, even Ron Paul and others. And now he said it would be this year, last year, and it happened. So I hope he's wrong, because it's creepy. And it lines up with what Max Kaiser's saying. And the elite could change their plans, but they don't often. So we're going to talk about ways to also try to stop that. In fact, I want to put a note there to make sure I cover that, how to stop it. Some of the other news before we go back to Lindsey Williams here. This is a big deal. And because it's been going on for a year and a half in Libya and now 9 months in Syria, we just become punch drunk to it. Moscow accused of arms supply to Syria. And again, the West is shipping in guns and al-Qaeda out of Jordan, out of Turkey, out of other areas on record, engaging in all sorts of war crimes. I'm not on Syria or Moscow's side, but I'm not on the bankers' side using our military, who they now admit are battling Russian Spetsnaz as advisors. That's now in the news. We told you that 6-7 months ago, started 9 months ago. It's in the news now. Our troops are fighting Russians in a proxy war in Syria to remove Assad and put al-Qaeda in like they've done in Libya. And I told you a year ago, I said, look, they've killed Gaddafi, they put al-Qaeda in. Watch, in a year, they'll be saying we got to be there to take out al-Qaeda. Now they're doing that like you have no memory. Lindsey's going to talk about that in a moment. He was talking about it as we went to break. He predicted it all. He said they're going to put the Muslim Brotherhood, they're going to do all this, but that's meant to overthrow Saudi Arabia later. And they're bringing down Russian aircraft, passenger liners, beating up the passengers in Turkey because there's ammunition on board, hijacking aircraft. That's what it is. I mean, this is just getting absolutely insane. That all of this is happening. Here's some of the other news. Turkey, Syria plane was carrying ammunition. AP, so it deserves to be brought down. An international zone. Video from Benghazi consulate shows organized attack. Oh, really? We need the government to tell us that? Again, the same al-Qaeda they put in charge. That is just some of the news we have here. And then right on time, Iran, with no evidence, is supposedly attacking the cyber systems. So the Pentagon that's already taken over the Internet, who created the Internet, says, oh, we've got to get rid of your freedom. We've got to take over the web because of this. U.S. hackers in Iran responsible for cyber attacks. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta agrees. Panetta's cyber stunner, Washington Guardian, in a blunt admission designed to prod action, an executive order, because Congress won't do it. Defense Secretary Panetta, Thursday night, told business executives there's been a sudden escalation in cyber terrorism and that attackers have managed to gain access to control systems for critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure is not hooked up to the Internet. That's why when they put Stuxnet into the Iranian systems, they had to have Israeli spies put it in with thumb drives into the industrial computers. But again, we just played last hour where they said the Smoky Mountains are smoky because of smog, and they need taxes on the locals because of it when the Indians called it the Smoky Mountains 500 years ago. Oh, boy, it is making my head spin at this point. And then I've got news like this out of the Associated Press. They're breaking down the fact that they're now coming out with drones that refuel in midair. The TSA's also showed up at a Mitt Romney campaign stop to forcibly grope people. TSA lends a helping, groping hand to Mitt Romney campaign stop. And then this one I haven't even gotten to yet, but we're going back to Lindsey to finish up and then go to your calls. Elbert County man seeks millions for terrorist comment. When I saw this this morning on prisonplanet.com, I knew Paul wouldn't say it unless it was in the news, but I was still shocked. And then I went to the Denver Post, and there are the quotes. It's on video in the city council meeting. Disabled vet labeled terrorist for investigating cost of surveillance cameras. And he's been coming and complaining that they're putting up cameras all over the town. And so they said, well, we've seen you on tape filming him. You're barred from the city council because you're a terrorist. And it's a quote, and it's in the news, and they're defending it. I mean, this is how they shut down your free speech. Oh, you filmed the cameras. You're a terrorist. No judge, no jury. You're just a terrorist. Characterization was reprisal for open records request, charges Elbert County man. We want to get him on. We called up his lawyer this morning and are working on that. A 55-year-old disabled veteran was labeled a terrorist by 3 county commissioners after he photographed security cameras at Elbert County. I said city council, it's county commissioners. Administration building in Colorado as part of an investigation. A designation the man claimed was retribution for filming. And the commissioners are in the Denver Post defending it. They say it's terrorism, and they say it's, quote, scary to see a citizen with a camera. So, send him to a re-education camp. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. More news coming up, but I had to get to all that. Lindsey Williams, get into what's happening in the Middle East. Your source told you this would happen. But how that nexus is of how Obama's getting off the plan and why the elite, at least the section of the elite you're talking about, I'm glad they differentiate. There's different power structures vying for control. They never dismantle the police state because they're fighting over who gets to run it. But that's the real danger, is the bureaucracy itself getting out of control historically. But getting back to that, recapping that, and then the countdown to dollar death, and then, as I promised, phone calls. Pastor Lindsey Williams.
You must know the signs. Please. I hope you're catching this. Back not too long ago, my elite friend said, Chaplain, I want to tell you how you can save your dinner table and how you can help spare your family. Now, folks, keep something in mind. Back in 1929 through 1933, there were many people who made great fortunes. Not everybody stood in soup lines in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. There were many people who made it because they knew in advance it was going to happen. I am trying my best. I've done it for 35 years to try to help you know what the elite tell me that their plans are as planned behind closed doors. That's the reason that I am telling you everything that they have told me. You must know the signs. Please go to LindseyWilliams.net, even though it's not my website. I hope you will look at Secrets of the Elite. It's not copywritten, 3.5 hours of DVD. Now, you have that pencil and paper. I've warned you. You needed to get it. You've had time to get it. Now, here it is. I need you to write these down. You heard me make a statement nearly 2 years ago, and Alex, it's in your archives. By the end of 2012, the dollar will be dead. You heard me say that. And many of you now saying, oh, wait a minute, I can still go to the grocery store and buy everything I want with the dollar. It's not dead yet. No. I'm going to give you the facts. You ready? Write them down. Here's the first one. February of 2012, the largest trade agreement that was ever signed in the history of the world was signed between China and Japan. China being the second largest economy in the world, Japan being the third, and they said we are going to sell and trade products amongst ourselves. You know nearly everything comes from China now. We're going to sell and trade products amongst ourselves, and we will not use the American dollar for the sale and trade of those products. Next, China and Russia. September the 7th. Write the dates down. Please go look these up, folks. You've got to know the signs. I've tried to give them to you on our DVD. I'm trying to help you now. China and Russia on September the 7th of 2012. You'll find it in the China Daily. There's an article about it. They signed an agreement that they will sell and trade products amongst each other. They will not use the American dollar. As long as you and I have known, the dollar has been the reserve currency of the world. It has been the petrodollar. I'll give you the next one. China and Brazil. Go look on BBC, British Broadcasting, at their article. They have agreed on a huge currency swap between China and Brazil. They will not use the American dollar any longer for the sale and trade of their products. China and Australia, I have to give them to you in a hurry. We've got to get these in fast. Look in Financial Express. That's the article you'll find on China and Australia. They have made an agreement amongst themselves. They'll sell and trade, will not use the American dollar. India and Japan, Reuters news service had this large currency swap, no longer using each other's American currency. The dollar, come on, is dead again. Look at this one. And this took place on April the 27th of 2012. Go look them up. India and China is buying oil from Iran, and they will not use the American dollar in the purchase of that. This has never happened before in the history of crude oil. Next one, Iran and Russia. Look at it in Bloomberg. You'll find the article. And and they said, we're not going to use the American dollar any longer. Of course, America won't let them use it now because of the sanctions. China and Chile signed a new agreement just the other day. You'll find this out there also on the news wires. I'm going to give them to you. Here's the other one. China and the United Arab Emirates. Look on CNN. You'll find the article on it. They are not going to use the American dollar any longer. China and Africa. Did you realize that Africa's largest bank, come on now, look it up, Standard Bank of Africa, you'll find the article on what they did, and they said we will... China is the number one trade partner with Africa now. They buy so many things from them. They're not going to use the American dollar any longer for sale and trade of their products. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, called BRICS on April the 5th of 2012, said we will no longer use the American dollar for the sale and trade of our products. The last one. You ready? This one just happened. Just happened the other day. September the 6th, 2012. China officially, folks, please, I just got this. China officially announced that any country in the world that wishes to sell crude oil using its currency instead of the U.S. dollar can do so now because they have everything set up. And as of the next day, now they made that announcement on September the 6th. On September the 7th, the next day, Russia announced that the nation, Russia, will sell China all of the crude oil it needs, no limitations whatsoever. They will not use the American dollar. Folks, please listen to me. You say the dollar's not dead. I say to you, the dollar is already dead, and you don't know it. Let me show you why. All of these trillions of American dollars, they're out there unused, unwanted. They're coming home. How long does it take them to come home? 6 to 8 months. Mark my words. 6 to 8 months from now, you are going to see the most devastating situation that you have ever seen in the United States of America. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars from all of these that I just named to you. You've listed them. You've got them down now. And this currency is unused, unwanted. It's floating around. It's going to return home like the chickens coming home to roost. And it will take 6 to 8 months. Folks, the dollar is already dead, and you don't know it. Alex, can I say it any plainer?
Well, Lindsey, I tried to give you the floor there to break it down, and I wish that the evidence wasn't clear of what you're saying. It doesn't mean that the former top big three oil company CEO is infallible, but I got to say about 95% of what he said has come true that we've covered here in the last 6, 7 years. And he normally conferred with Mr. Fromm, the other executive who, of course, died about a year and a half ago, for those that just joined us. But everything you're talking about integrates or dovetails in with the research I have. China and others are already getting away from the dollar to buy oil. All the BRICS countries are moving away from it. And I don't think they would have gone to QE Unlimited if they didn't understand that the dollar was already going to die anyways, because it will kill it. I mean, your source could be wrong. If, you know, they do a few different things to stave it off, it might not go completely belly up by December, as your source is saying. But going to QE Unlimited, as Ron Paul said last hour here, we should be, quote, panicking, because it will kill the dollar. But I agree, the Chinese moving faster and faster out of it, and they basically, before the last few years, had one leg in, one leg out. Now they've got basically both feet out, but it will take time for those to come back into the country. And that's why with all the dollars, these countries, China isn't buying dollars anymore, our biggest holder of debt. The globalists, designed it that way. They still hold a lot of them, and they're buying the biggest movie chains, the biggest movie production houses. They're buying up the real estate. The communist Chinese government is, not their poor slaves. And so we sold out our birthright for baubles, but it's only a few $1 trillion that the Chinese owned. The bankers maneuvered us into that. And you're right. They want us in debt. That's why they loan Europe money to pay off debt the bankers created, derivatives, because it's all fiat to begin with. And, Max Kaiser talked to the head of the Forbes dynasty, Steve Forbes, a few months ago in Greece, and he bragged and said, yeah, we're going to take everything over. I mean, they don't even hide this. I tuned into Bloomberg Financial on XM, and I listen to it quite a lot when I'm driving home late at night. And they have all these big head guys on there. There's always re-air and stuff from the morning at night. And they just brag, yeah, it's world government. They're not going to stop us. We're going to implode everything. They don't even hide it, is what's frustrating. And then, you know, you talk to people in the general public, they have no idea what's in store for them, Lindsey. I want to go to phone calls. The toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, and we'll get you up and on the air for questions for Lindsey Williams. But I just hope there's ways to avert this, and we'll talk about that before you leave. I've got a list of things I want to cover, but in the interest of actually getting to calls, the reason we have you back today, let's go to Dan in Pennsylvania. You're on the air with Pastor Williams. Go ahead.
Yes. Alex, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir.
Yes. God bless you to both of you. My question is for Mr. Williams there. When the dollar is devalued, what will happen when you go to pay for your mortgage and the devalued money? Will they still be taking those payments? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, some countries, they will raise the amount of the note by an act of government. But a lot of times, that's why it actually helps the rich and upper middle class, because usually they'll just let you pay off the debt with the devalued currency. So it really hurts the poor and people on fixed incomes more than anybody. Lindsey?
Well, the dollar's already dead, and your currency is already devalued, and you haven't realized it yet. In 1966, I went to a bank in Florida. I happened to live in Hollywood, Florida at the time. I was a pastor of a church there. And I went in Miami, Florida, put a $1 Federal Reserve note on the counter in 1966 and asked them for a silver dollar, and they gave me one. Today, you've got to pay 40 of those. Do you not realize that your currency is already devalued and that you can barely make
say that again. In the 1960s...
More of this devaluation at the rate of proportionate to $40 billion every month.
Yeah, let's go back to that and explain it to people. In the 1960s, you could get a silver dollar for $1, a Federal Reserve note. But in 2012, it takes 40 of them. You're right. They've already devalued it, but it's about to go hyperinflationary. People say, well, if it's only got 2% of the value it had in 1913 when the Federal Reserve took over, why do I care then? The 2% is what I know. Because they're going to go past that. At a certain point, it becomes like Zimbabwe or Weimar Republic, where it takes wheelbarrows of $100 bills to buy a chicken McNugget.
There's one sign. You positively must know it. And if you haven't made a crash course on it, you've got to do it immediately. The derivative market is the indicator as to when the dollar will be totally collapsed. And you must know how to discern the derivative market, not the stock market, not Wall Street, not the euro. You've got
that's all child's play. That's
derivative market.
Okay, well, stay there. I'm going to put that in there is something we're going to cover as solutions, derivative market. But asking his question specifically, because no one really knows but the insiders, the word we get is they're going to just keep notes at the price they were, but new notes, cars, houses, business loans, are going to be stratospheric interest, correct?
The interest hasn't gone up yet. In fact, that was the last pointer that my elite friend told me. He said, Chaplain, the last indicator that you will ever have just before the derivative market collapses, and which will bring all the currencies of the world down with it, they said will be the Federal Reserve will announce an interest rate hike. He said, whenever that happens, it's too late. If you haven't gotten out of paper by that time, you've lost it. He said, Chaplain, you can't wait that late. You've got to know.
No, exactly. But let's explain this. They've gotten everybody globally. They've gotten everybody globally in this. They've imploded the economy to a certain degree to get people deeper into debt. And when they finally pull the trigger, they're going to come out and say, we have global cards, SDRs, backed by the UN and the euro at the core. Carbon taxes and other taxes will fund it. Here is your new digital SDR, and people will beg for it. And that's their plan. That's the global government takeover plan.
That's exactly right. In fact, they'll have their new currency already. Now, please, I'm going to tell you exactly what I've been told. They're going to back it with gold and silver. It'll be a new world order currency. They're forgetting about the Mero. They bypassed the Mero. Did you catch it? They bypassed the Mero. They're going directly to a one world currency. They must take gold to $3,000 an ounce before they can back the new currency, because that's what they have to have.
Sure, Dan, stay there.
Gold and silver will go to $75 an ounce.
Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about a year and a half ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of longevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfoWarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfoWarsTeam.com. Lindsey Williams is our guest. I want to try to hurry through your calls here and break this down and then get into some solutions and also the point about what to look for in the derivatives market from his source. But he's right. The beginning of the end of the dollar has begun. They have to do that to bring in the new global currency. But just like they can have 20 different types of Texas Monthly or 20 different types, I meant to say, of Sports Illustrated, where Texas gets a version and then this group of states gets a version, you're going to have a global card, still going to say your country on it. It's going to have digital creds on it, and you can put other currencies into it. It's just that they'll be devalued, so they'll buy you less creds on it. And then all new future transactions will be based in strategic drawing rights, which are just an IMF World Bank digital currency they make up. And they can buy gold with it, they can buy oil with it, they can buy weapons, they can buy media. It's just the bankers are God. They have a magic wand, everything's theirs. And we noticed 2 years ago, because we buy postage to ship stuff overseas in bulk, and it prints it on the labels. We have post office printers in SDRs. And we went and looked it up, and yeah, it's already under strategic drawing rights. It's not under euros. It's not under pounds. It's not under any of this. It's not under dollars. And they admit all of it. That's what's so frustrating. You can debate about when it's coming. And the average yuppie, even people that are in the stock market, they have no idea. You know, I saw a report a few days ago, the stock market's been flat for 10 years. No, it hadn't. They show the graphs of it perfectly flat. You didn't gain $1 in it. Well, actually, it's way down because it's global devalued currencies are buying those stocks. So it's actually down by about a third conservatively. But some people say, well, I still make money in it. And that's true. If you're an insider or you're really smart and you know how to go beat the tables at Vegas, yes, you can win. Or you might just be lucky. But they've got all the pension funds, all of it invested. They've got us where they want us. Now, before Lindsey Williams leaves us, also, we're going to tell you about his latest documentaries and latest free audio CD that goes with those. You can go to prophecyclub.com to find all his stuff, or lindsey.williams.net to find it. We'll also give you the toll-free number and tell you all about that before he leaves us. But let's go quick now. John in Ohio. John, you're on the air listening via WWCR, global 100,000-watt blowtorch shortwave out of Nashville, Tennessee. And you're in Ohio. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I disagree with the idea that Obama is going off the reservation, is bucking the elite. He's doing exactly the same thing as Bush and Romney and Ryan are doing, but he's had to do it a little slower because he has to put on a little bit of a leftist populist rhetoric, the opposite of what he's actually doing to please his base. And I think they're moving away from him because Obama is no longer able to fool his base, so they're just going to the stone killer WorldNet Daily, Romney, Ryan, Corsi version of this whole thing to not to delay any of these warmongering plans against Iran and the rest of the country. If you look at Obama, he is carrying out Wesley Clark's exposure, which was way back in the early Bush administration to attack all these countries.
Yeah, for those that don't know, we could play the clip. Clark explains he's there at the Pentagon. They go, we're going to hit this country, then that, then this, then that. I mean, I agree Obama's a globalist, but from my sources, there are battles within the whole elite structure. I mean, Obama's saying, hey, I may hit Iran to show Romney I'm tough and get elected. But there's splits in Israel about that. I mean, there are splits in the power structure. The overall agenda, I agree, moves forward. But I think U.S. troops, and now admittedly on the ground, helping the al-Qaeda people, and they're actually fighting Russians and killing Russians, is just super dangerous. And both governments don't want to admit it because it's so unpopular. But Russia is not starting the aggression here. I appreciate your call, John, since you don't have questions for Lindsey. Lindsey, how does Russia tie into this? I know you said 2 years ago, watch the Middle East, it's going to go up in flames, but next is China. How does Russia fit into this?
People oftentimes ask me, they say, Chaplain, do the elite control the entire world? And they said, we know they control America and Europe. I said, sure, they control Russia and China just as much as they do America. They just do it in a little different way. Now, Alex, I want to elaborate on what the caller just said just a moment ago. I want to use 2 words that was put to me. They said, Obama is impulsive. He is irrational. He does not have the executive ability to be able to put something across as somebody else might. And as a result, they don't want him back in office. They said they really have had trouble controlling him, especially in these last 2 years. And now they say, hey, we want somebody else. Impulsive, irrational, he's totally unexecutive. And this is a problem that the elite, and especially the older elite, the younger elite have a little different idea of things, but the older elite, the ones that I knew 35 years ago, they're saying, if we have anything to do with it, we don't want him back in again.
Well, what do they say about the younger elite?
Well, the younger elite and the older elite have a little bit of a problem amongst each other because the younger elite naturally have these modern ideas and ways that the older ones now have children that are out there in the business world. Well, for instance, this person that you know who gives me information, he's in his 70s. He has children that are out there in the marketplace now. He's trained them as doctors and other things, and he's very concerned, believe it or not, as to how his children are going to survive in the very thing that they've helped create over the years. So these people are looking at it a little different idea, and they definitely realize. Well, let's just say a lot's been written about this. The old elite worked a lot harder, were more professional, and were pretty criminal, but we're not as generally reckless or lazy. And the newer elites really are drinking their own Kool-Aid, believing their own propaganda, and do not work 18 hours a day. The new elites, work about 10 hours a day and just kind of, they're just super wimpy. And I don't think, but they've got all this incredible power behind them, which is a very dangerous mix. Let's talk. Well, Obama is, this man is he's like a bull in a china shop. He has no professionalism whatsoever. And the older elite are saying, we can't put up with this another 4 years.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and talk to Atlas in Missouri. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Alex and Pastor Lindsey. One quick thing to follow up on what Alex said earlier about Big Pharma. And I want to give you a scriptural basis. The word pharma or pharmacy.
Pharmakia, which means witchcraft.
Pharmaceutical, that's right. In the Greek, it means witchcraft and sorcery. It's only mentioned 5 times in the New Testament. I can give you the sources.
No, I know. That's how I was able to quote it. I mean, the witch doctors have always tried to put people on drugs to put them under their control. I mean, corrupt elites trying to drug the tribe is as old as the hills. Here, take this peyote, and by the way, I'm the boss now because I'm going to say ooga booga and make you see pretty colors. I mean, it's just all a big con game, and we're taking calls for Lindsey Williams, my friend. Do you have a question for him?
Well, yes. Vis-a-vis Amos 3:7, where Yahweh says, I would not do anything unless I first reveal it to my servants, the prophets. And it seems to me that when the elite reveal things in the same way that Yahweh says he will reveal things.
They're carrying out God's will. I appreciate your call. No. There's a metaphysical rule in all cultures and for all time. The vampire has to get permission to come into your house. They always tell you, and they think it's like part of their legalese that, well, we gave you, fair play, on guard. It's like before somebody comes at you with a sword, get on guard, on guard. And, Lindsey, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, one of the first things I learned when I lived with the elite those 3 years was they have a code of ethics, believe it or not. And one of the facets of that code of ethics is we must tell the world what we're going to do before we do it. Now, Alex, I readily admit that I honestly think that the elite sometimes use me to get their message out. For instance, today, I'm doing 3 radio shows, yours and 2 others. I do 2 and 3 and 4 per day, sometimes in the middle of the night. And they know that I'm reaching millions and millions of people across this land. Even George Laurie had me on Coast to Coast here a while back. And they give me things. I'm glad I can give them to you because they're going to spare your dinner table and save you a lot of heartache. And they say some things you got to be careful about how you say them. But on the other hand, I feel a moral obligation to tell you. So that's the reason I'm here, trying my best to tell you what they say to me.
Yeah, no, I've had a lot of high-powered people call me up and go, well, nobody's going to kill you right now because a lot of us don't like the way things are going. We have to have balance in this, but don't go too far. You're going to be dead. And, you know, stuff like that. And, I mean, that's happened many times from different perspectives. So it's all double meanings with these people. And you know what it is? They like to be competitive and be corrupt and get the power. But then they see the byproduct. They're like, ooh, maybe let's slow that down a little. And it's like, wait a minute. You wanted all this. This is what you built. Now you're ready to take your medicine. Let's go to Ryan in Texas, listening on 1330 AM, KKGM. We have another caller from 1630 AM up in Dallas. I need to go up there and visit. I promised I'd come up there and speak to that whole radio audience, and I will. I've just been so busy I haven't done it, but I want to tell the program director, because I haven't talked to him in about 6 months, that I will get up there and do that. Let's go to Ryan, listening up there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Ryan, go ahead.
Alex, last time you came out to Dallas, it was amazing. Come back again. I'm already going to buy tickets. Just let me know.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, I had a question for Lindsey. When he's referring to the dollar dying or essentially already being dead, is that the same as the euro? And if countries like China and Japan and Russia are getting out of the dollar, what would inspire them to get into a global currency if there's no trust already in the euro and in the dollar?
Well, the Chinese are deep in bed with the globalists. They're part of the even higher double cross. The Arabs are double crossed. The American people are double crossed. China is double crossed. But China is the sweetie cake of the New World Order. That's from my research, Lindsey.
The elite you have to get these words now. The elite are not communist, and they are not Muslim. They are using the communists and the Muslim to accomplish what they want. I was told, and Alex, I said it in your show, it's on the archives, I said it 3 years ago, that the dollar would be dead. In fact, it was 2 years ago. They gave it to me. The dollar will be dead by the end of 2012. Please note what they did not say. Sometimes what the elite don't say is important as what they do say. They did not say the dollar would be non-existent. Did you catch this?
You're still going to have it. It's going to be like a peso, and there'll be the new global SDR that everyone has to beg to get into. That's how they get you all to want to be part of it. Not everybody gets to be part of an SDR. Oh, please, I'll do anything to be in the SDR. I'll take the card. I've got the new SDR card. Or my new iPhone has SDRs. I'm going to pay for Starbucks coffee with it. Oh, my gosh, we don't take dollars anymore. We only take global creds that are so trendy and are connected to the environment. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lindsey.
Well, and keep in mind that the new currency is going to be completely different. Our American dollar now is backed by nothing but thin air, $40 billion every month. The new world currency is going to be backed, I have told, by gold and silver. And you say, well, why will they accept it if they won't accept the dollar? Simple as 1, 2, 3. The dollar is backed by thin air now. And the new world currency will be backed by gold and silver. That's the reason they have to take gold.
Exactly. We got to move quicker here.
Silver to 75.
Let's go back to calls here. Let's take a call from John in Illinois, listening on WCKG, 1530 AM in Chicago. Go ahead, John.
Hey there. I wanted to ask Pastor Williams how his elite friends view the Neil Keenan lawsuit.
The Neo Keenan lawsuit.
Yes.
I have to plead ignorance on that. Neo Keenan, tell us about that.
Neil, N-E-I-L, Keenan lawsuit. He has the power of attorney for the Socorno Trust that is suing, among others, the U.S. Federal Reserve and the U.S. Corporation. He has had a lien on the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Corporation for over a year. The amount of money that is in question is $55 billion.
No. Listen, I've been hearing about that for years. It's kind of like the Nasera deal. I I know there are real liens and things going back. The globalists back all this up with force. They engage in pure fraud. There's a lot of patriot mythology out there. I'm not poo-pooing what you're saying, that you know, there's always these magic things that are going to do this and that. Lindsey Williams, comments on that?
None. I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can send me some info, sir. Thank you so much for the call. Let's move quick here now. Michael in Texas, listening again on KKGM, 1630 AM in Dallas, Fort Worth. You're on the air, sir. Go ahead. Yeah, do me a favor. Turn that radio off. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yeah, they've got their radio turned up there. They just don't know. Let's talk to Antoine in Florida. You're on the air with Lindsey Williams. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, how you doing? I just got two quick questions for Lindsey and for you as well. One, when will the big holidays start? Two, I think, Alex, I want to challenge you on this. I think you're doing a great job, but I think you need to talk more about metaphysics. It seems like the globalists are using metaphysics to attack us. That's why they want to do all this fear, like Lindsey just said. And if I've seen some of your old videos where you go along about the metaphysics, how they have all the capitals or, you know, temples. We need to know about that. We're not going to defeat them without understanding.
Well, sure. The globalists operate with their own language, their own communication. It's like gang sign. We have to learn what those symbols mean. I mean, there's a History Channel big special called Secrets of the Secret Societies, or is it Discovery Channel? I'm in. I forget. Airing this Sunday, 10 o'clock. Will you guys give me a printout on that? Thank you. And, you know, I get into that. I mean, I do cover it. I made my Bohemian Grove films. It's just that, you know, the general public, I've covered Skull and Bones. I mean, the globalists are not atheists. They want you to be an atheist because they're into the occult. And I appreciate your call. Lindsey, briefly, a minute and a half. Devil's Messiah. Explain what that is.
About when is the collapse going to take place? I basically I've asked my friend this many times, and I said when, and he'd say not the next 3 months. I'd say when, not the next 3 months. That's the reason I just said to you a few moments ago it will not happen before the end of December of this year. They intentionally are holding off the collapse until they can create massive debt in every nation, every city, every county, United States of America, everywhere else. They're going to hold it off as long as they can. Even they themselves do not have a date yet.
They want to further bankrupt us.
But I'll give it to you at least by every 3 months increments.
Okay, but listen, the caller's question was about the occultism of the elite.
Well, I think you've covered that. Bohemian Grove, I've watched your DVD. You did a masterful job on that. And they positively are, many of them, not all of them, but many of them. I lived with them, I know. Many of them are involved in the occult.
Yeah. The higher up you get, the more crazy it is. I tell you, growing up in high school and outside Dallas where I lived, it was like a movie. I mean, the richer the people were, I mean, I dated girls whose parents were billionaires and stuff, and I mean, it was Luciferian Central. That's right, there are no atheists in foxholes, I'm told. By the way, it's Discovery Channel. I'm supposedly the main featured person in the show. 1 hour special premiere. I'm reportedly in multiple episodes. I don't even know. I'm not bragging. I've had in the last week 3 different national TV shows be offered to me. Not even, hey, fly out to L.A. or New York and, you know, we'll talk about it. It's like, boom, here's the deal. Here's the thing. And I've said no to all of them because I know it'll be a hit piece. I don't care how much money I get offered. We're not doing reality TV in here. We're not making it a big joke. But I did get a call by a big filmmaker I respect who wants to do an investigative show, and I may entertain that. Talk to him today, so very exciting. But it shows how far we've come. There are good people out there in the system, out of the system, who don't like what's happening. And so that show, Discovery Channel, seeks to unlock the truth behind conspiracy theories with Secrets of Secret Societies, and it premieres 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Pacific this Sunday, and I guess I'll be watching Discovery Channel. So there you go. I want to do 5 minutes to overdrive with Lindsey Williams. We can finish more of your calls, but I wanted to plug this because Lindsey never really talks about it. Lindsey's made like Countdown to the 2012 film. I forget the exact name. I know I watched it. He's come out with Secrets of the Elite, a bunch of film presentations with free CDs with it. The reason those are important is because you've seen, you know, one made a year and a half ago, one made 6 months ago, and it's just almost all of it's happening. I wish it wasn't. And you can go to Prophecy Club website, what is it, prophecyclub.com, and find his stuff there. Great folks over there. Or you can also call 888, what is it, 799-6111. I hope I'm going right from memory there because I kind of scribbled it. 888-799-6111. And there's also LindseyWilliams.net, an unofficial site, but he endorses it. It's a nice site that links through to that as well. So be sure and check out that new information and really have it all laid out to you nicely instead of, me up here babbling about it. Let's go to some more calls here. August in Missouri, you're on the air with Lindsey Williams. Go ahead. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Good. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, at the start of the collapse, of what's going to happen, I got a couple questions, okay? Will gold and silver briefly drop? That's one. Will it just drop a little bit out of the fear and panic? And if I short the dollar, if I just want to do that, how do I make the money if the dollar becomes worth nothing, and when do I get paid on that?
Sure. I don't think Lindsey should sit here and give exact advice, but I know a big stock guy who made millions in doing one trade off what Lindsey said. Lindsey probably going to give you personal advice, but what did your elitist source, the oil company CEO, what did he tell you, Lindsey, that key info about when we know the derivatives are going to go belly up?
Okay, I'll save the best to last, and I'm going to say it slowly instead of talk as fast as I normally do. So please bear with me because this is a bombshell. This was only a few days ago, and I wrote it down word for word as it was said. The Federal Reserve, there was a member of the Federal Reserve that just after Bernanke made his statement, he came out and said, the recent Fed action will not help. Well, I asked my friend about it, and he said, Chaplain, without now I'm quoting this verbatim. He said, without liquidity, the banking system and derivative market will freeze up. Did you hear this? And I said, liquidity. Try to explain. He said there must be billions of new money must be pumped into the market continually. And he said, if not, it will freeze up. I said, what do you mean by freeze up? He said, frozen loans, frozen savings, frozen bank account.
We're talking to August in Missouri. Look, boil it down, Lindsey. What are they saying? That when they quit this QE Unlimited, that's when it's going to go down? Or, I mean, what are the signs that the QE is going to, that the derivatives market's going to lock up and the world implode?
I'll give it to you the best I can with 2 or 3 other statements here he gave to me just days ago. We may have seen all the signs we'll see. Did you catch that? Currency wars, latest Fed action, 40 billion mortgage-backed securities. Okay, here goes. That's the last few statements. The only possible sign left is interest rate rise. And then he said, we may, didn't say it would, but watch out whenever they say may. He said, we may wake up one morning and the system will be frozen. Folks, get out of cash. You positively must get out of
Well, look at all the billionaires and George Soros getting completely out of trading and buying hordes of gold. That is the scariest sign yet. Let me read this. This is a Financial Market Worldwide news. This has happened the day after the QE last month. Former Fed governor talks trash talks QE. The chairman has gone all in, Warsh said in a Friday morning interview, and then went on to basically say it wouldn't work. So that's what you asked your elitist friend. August in Missouri, does that answer your question?
It does. I just have a real quick one about this thing. You said all the FEMA camps. Now, I have a little bit of intel, too, from a societal club I belong to, and what they're trying to tell the upper-level members, which I'm one of them, they're trying to say that in December, everything you said is correct, but they're trying to also say that in the middle of December, they want a reason to bring in martial law. And that's why I wrote you an email about how about an electrical grid breakdown that freezes all the banks up. There's a high probability.
All I know is if they think we're going to go along with it, they're going to do it. If we get the word out, it may stop them. Thank you for the call. Send me that email again at showtips@Infowars right now, and I'll try to find it. We just get so many, but keep sending it. Lindsey, that was a pretty creepy call. I talked to a lot of other people. They even do it with the local rich people in towns that may be worth only, $10 million. They kind of get brought into a level as well to get them to go along with the system. They're telling them get ready for total breakdown as well. The police are being told this. It doesn't mean it's absolutely going to happen, but I've never seen, Lindsey, such preparations.
You said earlier in the show, Alex, that there are good people both in and out of the elite. Now, this is proof by the mere fact that this one gentleman, whom you know, is still giving me information on the basis of what he's giving it to me, giving me so much. And almost every few days now, getting an email of some type or some. There are people in and out, both that are, you're exactly right, that are very concerned, Alex.
Let's jam in one more. Megan in California, listening on KOMY, the sister station of KSCO. We're also on 1340. Real fast, Megan.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. Mr. Williams, I guess my basic question, I had a lot of answers already given while you were talking. What is the plan for the U.S. citizens once the currency goes global? How do they envision us living? And when you say get out of cash, how does one make transactions, like going to the store? And third, what happens to someone who has a small business and when you say get out of cash?
Well, I mean, what he's saying is, don't have it all in cash. You still need some to operate. Just make preparations for hyperinflation implosion. Right, Lindsey?
I tell it all in a new CD that is with my Secrets of the Elite DVD series. Listen to the CD first. It's an hour and 12 minutes long, and I basically tell you what they told me to do personally in order to spare my attendance able to save my house. You must secure your assets. That was an expression they
Sure,
used.
ma'am.
You must get out of all paper every way possible. If it's written on a piece of paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. And remember what their currency is. You must remember what I've said for over 3.5 years since it was given to me by the man.
Silver and gold. Lindsey, we're out of time. Tonight, 7 o'clock, InfoWars Nightly News, 7 Central, PrisonPlanet.tv. Visit InfoWars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the sites, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.